Take one.
Okay, Rabbi, sorry. Go to Sif Hay. Now, Sif Hay is a very important Sif. The question, how far we trust a goy in the Ashgocha business. You know, if someone says something, if someone says that this is a Pepsi, how do you know it's a Pepsi? Maybe you put some wine into it. Or, yeah, none of these things have a Mshgiach Tamidi. And it's not just everything. Everything under the sun is based on this next to Sifan. We have to know, how do you know, when do you trust the goy when he says and when not? So, let's just see Sif Hay. It says, Yayin Rimoinim. Very interesting. I think we started speaking last week, but Yayin Rimoinim, and the Gemara says, was a refuah. They used to use it for people who had stomach problems. So anyone? So yeah. Well, the Gemara does say. The Gemara even says a story. Rabbi Kodesh and Nes happened. Rabbi Kodesh was a big Bal Yisurim, and the Gemara says that he had toothaches, stomach cramps. So what Nes happened that a guy had 300 barrels of Yayin Rimainim. Anyways, the Gemara says Yayin Rimainim. Shemachn l'fumitel lochem et Tager. You're allowed to buy from a wholesaler. Tager is a wholesaler, not the producer, the wholesaler. Not me, the middleman. Afila shloimeh hachoviyas, not from the barrel. He comes and sells to him. Api shedum of yikurim me'ayayin. Even though it's more expensive than wine. What is the problem? It's more expensive. The guy, well, add some wine. He dilute it. It's more expensive. This was a common, unfortunate practice. Yeah, we dilute it. Truthful is, I remember a few years ago when the Gerber, people have young children. I remember that still giving to my children, and called Gerber apple juice that they were adding water more than they were allowed to. There was a big fine, and they apologized of it. All you have to do is one whistleblower. That's all you need. But, so the kids said, this was cute. There's a famous cute story from the Vilna Gaon. The Chaim Volozhin gave a drush in his shul that you're not allowed to cheat, and the people in the Derfelach would add always water into the milk. And this guy was very, very successful because he knew how to add no one should chap. He decided the Shishuna that he's not going to do it. The Rebbe said that no matter what, your panos is bashet, you don't have to worry about nothing. Okay? He decided this year he'll behave. But he's not making money, and he's going down. He's not making money. So he went to Rabbi Chaim Volozhin and he says, Rebbe, you said to me that no matter what's bashet to bashet. Look, last year I had to eat. This year I don't know what to eat. So he says, why don't you go to my Rebbe, the Vilna Gaon, and say, go and ask him. So he says the story to Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon laughs. He says, it was never beshet for you to become rich in a kosher way. Do you think if someone robs the bank, he's going to lose the money? If someone robs the bank, he's going to have the money. If a person eats chazer, he's not going to eat energy. Of course he's going to have energy. He ate chazer. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden, since he ate chazer, it's just going to go through a system. He's not going to be able to do something. Not you have no kosher geld. This doesn't mean kosher geld was not beshet for you. Anyways, this was a.
What did he do afterwards? That's the question.
He went into the nursing home.
And it, so
The concept of the salt that we talked about
Salt.
with the Pesach last shadow that I guess certain Jews, their minute was not to have fish on Pesach, and they told you because it was salted, and they used to add something to the salt.
Flour, this stuff
not
was
salt.
so.
We actually even said it last week also, before you came.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Recording that one.
That's the last one. I remember from my teacher ago, Pesach.
Okay. Where are we up to? Yeah, so the kivin is after pishadum yikurim yamish, the kivin is be kepeda. Since there's a kepeda, the mura nafshei. That means the right word to say he's not gonna hurt his business. Now on this line, like mura nafshei, there was a huge machlikas. I'm gonna try to make this simple. And there's really three levels of this numar nafshai. One level, it seems from the Peskim, that even something that the Goyim only sell to the Jews. He's a seller, but if he's caught cheating, he's going to lose his business. So there's also a level of loymur nafshai. The Mechaber talks about it. It's Gemara Menuchos. If you learn Daf Yomi, you're allowed to buy tzitzis from a goy. Now maybe the tzitzis the goy didn't do the shemitzis tzitzis. But since he's going to lose all the business if he has a store, he's going to lose that business. So we made his mitzvahs to have not to have the right tzitzis. That's how the Gemara says. Now the Magen Avraham says, well, tzitzis is not a daraisa. Maybe it's only a derabanan. He's not convinced we can use that. But says the Magen Avraham, something that not just the Jews are makbid, the goyim is makbid. I always give a mashal. Imagine you go, you buy a fish, tuna fish. You open the can, you find out it's not tuna fish. It's salmon, more expensive. You look at a chicken of the sea, the seller, a bottle, I'm not going to buy his fish. What's going on over here? I say over a story because they used to do the tuna canning over here right here in California until they moved it to the Philippines. And when I came here, I learned in the Kollel, they bring us boxes of tuna for free because the labels of chicken on the sea didn't come out exactly. They refused to sell it. Understand? They would not sell, this is just part of the loss. That means they were not put on the shelf because if you looked at the label, it wasn't exactly, I don't know how you say in English, it wasn't, the circle wasn't so perfect. You have to look at it, see that's not perfect. But it's good enough for them. See, they are mirrors not to look like a shlamazel. Not because the yid. You know, if you are go, you also don't want. You know what I mean? So many places can hold that you say such a concept. If you would, the goy, they say, many people ask me about vegetarian. And they claim that there is no, how's it called, the animal derivative because they're also very makbid not to have. So if there is a meresis on that, meaning to say, the goy is not else because you're a yid. Because there are plenty goyim out there who have this payda, they don't want any byproduct from any animals. That's called meresis. So many Peskim hold that works even on the Raisa. So B'meila.
So if something is vegan certified, you can go eat it without it actually?
Yep, that's what it says there. On a Drabanan, it says for sure. One sec. Let me answer him. Benjamin, but on the Drabanan, everyone agrees. The question is on the Raisa, and the Noidi B'Yehuda says even on the Raisa. Let me say where the Noidi B'Yehuda's question was. The Noidi B'Yehuda's question was that the sugar, we spoke about it before Pesach. It's a famous Noidi that the tumult started in his time not to eat sugar, Pesach. Why? Because two reasons he explains. One reason is there was a shmua, the place where they produce the sugar, they use the same barrels where they store flour, they put sugar in. Then he goes, maybe it could become bottle, he goes into it. Then he says the second problem was, sugar was extremely expensive. You have to know that because not all over it grew the sugar, whatever it grew, and flour is cheap, and they cheated. They put flour. That was the second problem. So the second problem he discusses that it's loimor nafshai, and he holds it's kosher for Pesach. Because if they find out, that means they're in trouble. Now, it doesn't mean it never happens. Many people think that it does happen. But it's enough in Halacha to say that that's... right, it's enough in Halacha to say that we could rely on that. You know, and of other things... I've said over... Let me quickly say a story that happened. In Chicago, about 20 years ago, there was a butcher shop, a chicken shchita, which the OU gave hashgacha. So the OU always does a smart thing. They put the OU on the same label that says USDA. So if the guy falsifies the label, he has to falsify the USDA seal also. Kachava, this guy went, falsified. So there was a company, he fired the manager. So the manager blew the whistle. So he was in trouble from the government. That's number one, because that's a federal law falsifying. But they took off the shgocha OU. So someone told me he worked in the OU. The guy came crying because his whole business ago. You know, the OU couldn't care less. Took off the shgocha. He brought in a certain percent of a non-kosher meat. They called him non. So someone says, you see, you can't trust. You see, just the opposite. He lost all his business. See, many people have this, my right word in English to say, but there's this thing that everything has to be foolproof, you say in English? There's no such a thing foolproof. In this world, nothing is foolproof. To Adam, the Torah says you believe him, is not because it's foolproof, it's exactly as a There are two Adam who are hired, the famous one of Sanhedrin, who hired and killed the son of Shin Meshutach. They said that he worshipped Avodah Zarah. There's no foolproof of nothing. You know what I'm saying? It just, the Torah said you believe him. It's enough. Chazal said that it's not worth it for him, and you could rely that it's kosher. Avad, once in a while, people do things that is not appropriate, and then things fall through the cracks, as we say. But the halacha doesn't matter. So again, if the goyim are very makpid, like talking about what he just asked, the vegan thing, this is not a Jewish person a makpid. Hello? Can I call you back in the middle of a sheet? I thought it was the mixer. No problem. It has a hechsher, you said, the vegan?
The vegan, there's a certified vegan hechsher. That's what we call it. Like in Trader Joe's, you get a lot of products with a V on it.
Okay.
So that means the organization came in and said, there's no animal products, there's no milk, there's no...
Right?
That's how we're trusting the guy.
Yes.
One second. If a goy had in the Kalim Bulua something of meat, would the vegan be marked for that?
Yeah, first of the vegan I spoke to someone who came from who was a vegan. He said they are fanatics. They are fanatics.
Touch the other product. They will not touch it.
They are fanatics. There's no what?
I can manufacture a product which is gluten-free and somewhat also vegan, and I can tell you now that there is no rule on what it is. It can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Oh,
There's no parts per million. There's no shear to it.
You have that symbol on it?
What?
You have the vegan?
You put the vegan? Are you thinking about how you can write vegan?
I could write it, yes. On one of my products I write it. Why not? But it's meaningless.
but
I checked into it.
It's not just that you write
There's
vegan.
no government standard what vegan means.
Think of 5 years if he gets into trouble.
Okay, I was at the Natural Food Products Show. The biggest Natural Food Products Show was in March in Anaheim. And I tell you, if you would see the products and you would chalish and you believe that they call this natural. Mamash chazra, junk, and it's natural foods.
I didn't ask you junk. I asked you not talking about junk. No. The question is not junk.
You can have vegan products that are natural and then still be crap free. Yeah. Well, it's not health meats and you'll be fine.
Wait, just to clarify. But this is what you just said. It could, nothing's foolproof.
Yeah, there's no foolproof. It could be, but since something that people are very makpid, so the goyim will find out, they would make a tumult. See, I don't know the rules of vegan. I only knew one guy who became frum, and I asked him to explain to me what vegan was all about. There's different levels, you know that. Some eat eggs, some don't eat eggs, some eat milk, and some don't drink milk. The machmirim sheba machmirim, you know what I mean? There are levels. But I understood from him the movement of them is fanatic. And they could lose a lot of business. There's a vegan store in our neighborhood, and it's a busy store. They could lose a lot of money if people find out they're not honest. So according to this halacha, yes, they don't want to be, because they don't see, they lose money. They don't lose small money. They lose business. Yes.
And so that's enough to trust them.
Yes.
We can buy food there.
Yes, that's what I learned.
Restaurant, we have to be concerned about the vegetables not being checked and the possibility of Yanessa.
I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
Possibility of vegetables not being checked.
At a vegan restaurant.
Vegan restaurant.
Yeah, better. Vegetables you have to check. You have to check. You have to know what they put in. They don't put wine into vegetables, do they? I mean, you have to know the Messias.
Have vegan wine, you don't know what
If they serve wine, then you can make sure that's nothing that they put wine in.
But they use vegetables, of course, it's vegan.
That's a separate issue. Vegetables has to be cashed. We're talking about kashrus. Do you have to worry that maybe they fried it with chaza fat? That's the question.
No, but there is a possibility they could fry with grape juice.
Yeah, well, you don't. It's things that we must later see. You don't have to worry about when you buy. Let me ask. Let me start. Let me explain something. Let's listen. Why aren't you worried that maybe Pepsi has yayin? Maybe they put in a little wine.
Because they would go broke.
Because if anybody found out that there was alcohol in Pepsi,
Now, could put some grape juice. See, we don't.
still everyone would be very, very.
Right, exactly. We expect Pepsi to be Pepsi and not Pepsi to mix in wine. That's exactly what it is. We only need a pishochon. I said this a few weeks ago. It's great that you have a shgoch and everything, because today, the new world, and they come up in new chedushim. How? But in halacha, this is what the Gemara says, you only need things hashgacha where there's a real problem. I don't let my wife buy anything only with hashgacha. Or you, okay? Because we always say these interesting stories that they came up with. I say of a story. About 15 years ago, they decided to put into tuna fish milk powder. And no one knew it for a few weeks, the beginning. Do you know why they did it? They realized if you put milk powder into tuna fish, the liquid gets more absorbed. It's better for the liquid, and it tastes better. Now, then all of a sudden, one guy found out, and it was a tumult, there was a recall that's not good for everyone still was giving. One company just figured this out, and they stopped doing it for other reasons. But see, they always come up with new chedushim, new inventions. They have chemists working all the time just to figure out maybe you'd add this, maybe you'd add this, and that's why today it's a problem. Nothing is pure. But generally speaking, we'll learn the next few sifim. You only need hashgacha something where you have to be worried about something. Once something was checked out, you have nothing to worry. Once Cheerios was checked out, you don't have to have mishgich tamidi. The OU just checks it out once, and okay, this is a product, it's not a problem. They keep on checking, just make sure that maybe they decided to add something new into it and make it differently. But in halacha, it's just the safe. But that's what the Mechaber is saying over here. So again, we're talking about something that a goy does not want it. He's makbid. He's very, very makbid on it. Let's say we're talking about the wine. If you dilute the wine, it doesn't do its job, then you could trust the goy. Or that's a vegan, and halacha you could trust it because they are very makbid, and the goy is going to lose his business. So that's why now the Noidibid holds even a deraisa, we're going to hold in a drabanim. It's a big mechloeks in the later achronim. How far you could be saimach, but the truth is most achronim hold you could be saimach. The fact is, I want to tell you even more. Most people, does the OK give a hashgacha on tuna fish? Or just the OU? Well, now the problem, let me tell you what the OU problem with the tuna fish. Many held that a tuna fish, we later learned this in the Shulchan, but many held on tuna fish, you have to see the fish. How do I know it's tuna? You remember there always tumults. I was once asked by the OU about 20 years ago for emergency, not a problem. They asked me to go down to the plant. And I thought that mamish, that the tuna comes off the boat, I'll see, who knows. You know what happens? They catch a school of fish. And a school of fish is, It comes in into this big, garbage truck. That's so big, humongous. It comes in. Now it goes in, and there's a guy standing to knock off everything. Goes on a belt. Anything is not tuna to go downstairs. Knocks it off the belt, goes downstairs. That's for cat food. Why does he knock it down? Because when you're going to open the tuna fish, and it's not going to be tuna, it's going to be catfish. They look like a fool. Not because they're worried about the kashrus. Imagine you open a tuna fish can and it's not tuna. They're going to say, this is the chicken of the sea. It's going to be the frontline news and the chicken of the sea had catfish in it. It makes them have a bad name. So they have a guy standing there just for their own purpose. There also happens to be a law. The guy explained to me the fish gets bitten into it, you're not allowed to eat it. He still goes for the catfish. But I could put them there, makpid, not just as kashrus. They look like, imagine you're going to open the thing, and many of these fish have a terrible taste. Tuna has a certain taste, and just it comes out another, I don't even know the name of the fish, as he told me. The type of which they can't even sell it, has a terrible taste. Not all fish taste great. You know what I mean? We think that fish is fish. So the Moshe held, it's not clear, but in the seams in the Moshe held, the Tshuva said that fish, you have to see each fish to make sure it's kosher. And many claim that according to the Moshe, you can't give oil on the fish. And why do the Matirim say? Because they claim this is the biggest lemor nafshai. They don't want to can only tuna. They want to can only salmon. This is what they are to can over there.
So what if you have a company that's a small company, not Chicken of the Sea, a new startup company, and they can...
Still is. You're going to lose the same thing. You're going to lose the same thing. The biggest.
Small companies like that and make their tuna fish, that they're making it themselves.
They don't. No one makes themselves. It's the same. You know what? The Mashgiach lives in my neighborhood, who goes down to the Philippines. One day he wears the OU hat, the next day it's the OK hat, the next day it's the Dugam hat, and the next day it's...
Why is one of them saying, Pasi thrown, the ones that come to the market?
Pasi on fish.
Fish.
That is amaratzis. We spoke about it here. That is just amaratzis. Amaratzis means ignorance, because tuna fish is not the way it's made, not oil of shel chamalochem. Spoke of this more than once. You will never serve. If you're married, not yet. So you'll never serve. Your mother-in-law is going to come. You're not going to serve a tuna fish.
I had this discussion with my kala, and I said, I don't know what Rabbi Tauber said, and I agree, and I don't have a problem buying them. Just owe you tuna. She says, not in my house. It has to be Bishul Yisrael.
That's another reason. It's an echel chai. That's another reason why it's not a problem. Yeah, but I'm saying that today. But what you're saying is another reason why it's not a problem, because it's nechel chai. Okay, let's just move on to Beisan.
Just one last question. So why is so many people are careful? Like you said yourself, in your own house, you only buy things that have sharing.
I want to, because you never know. So I want my children and wife, when they bring something home, they has to have okay. What do I know? And you always hear once in a while, just everything to get today with okay. No, so I know I feel safe, because they always come. No, that's what I'm saying. They always come. I gave them mushroom with the fish. They put how's it called? Powder milk, and they recently they came out, which Kedem explained to me, that they could figure out how to take the sweetness out of grapes and make it minute, condensed, why like this could worth $10,000. He told me, it's a whole science. And what is the greatness of it? They have to add just a few drops. It's so sweet in a vat that it's moiridik. That means you don't have to carry bags of sugar. That's and so it's a problem of yain stam. Today they figured out no one, took them a while to chap for the OU organization what this was all about. Someone came up, not recent, the last few years.
So it doesn't matter you have an extra, because it takes an extra few.
But they are on top of it. They are on top of it. They are, Baruch Hashem, they're always on top of it. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, it's very rare. It's very rare to make. It's only mislabeled. It's very rare to make a mistake because they're really, really on top of it. They do it. They almost say that it's not the Hamish Shguchas do a good job. I believe they would do it. They don't do a good job. They do a good job as the OU and the OK.
So Rabbi,
That's the truth.
by the opposite analogy, for example, Triangle K, no one holds by Triangle K, and yet their business continues to flourish.
Yeah, because
So is it like the opposite thinking that because no one trusts them and their business does continue?
I don't know. The reason it's not. He doesn't. Whoever was running it till then doesn't know what he was doing. See, the OU takes other shguchas too. They explained to us once there was a guy. That guy who runs it just doesn't know what he's doing. Halachas. So they don't rely on him.
I don't think that's the Triangle K.
But that's not his question. His question is that.
The what?
That it's still an operating business, even
Yeah.
though they're serving.
Yeah, but it's on Tropicana and stuff like that.
That's true. It's operating business, but because people don't know. So that's really what it is.
Yeah, Tropicana's up to.
What about, I actually lived in Chicago when that case occurred.
Oh, you remember that story?
So I always wonder, let's say somebody buys meat from this guy. Turns out it's straight. You find out a month later. But you use your kalim, your dishes. You have to
That's happening in Muncie, kid. The whole
It's happening, yeah, about that.
Muncie kid, the whole Muncie. had to
What?
get a kitchen.
China did that.
Okay, let me tell you an interesting Rambam. I learned the Rambam, Shkoich the Lubavitcher Rebbe. I 12 years learned every year the Rambam. So this is a verworfener Rambam. This is not in the place. There's a Santa Rambam in Hilchas Pura Aduma, based on a Tosefta, a very cute Rambam. Rambam says like this. Rambam says, there's a Mishnah in Masechtes Pura Aduma. Let me describe to you how it was. In the Beis Hamikdash, we were standing. They had the Beis Hamikdash appointed a guy who to sprinkle the water of the Pura Aduma. You went to Lavaya, you have to sprinkle the third and the seventh day, and it's extremely detailed, complicated halachas how the sprinkling had to do. Lamosha, the water you take out of the well, you're not allowed to do another malacha, you're not allowed to misir das. It's incredible difficult. You must be an expert, right? And if you did a mistake, then the water is worthless. So if you pulled out the water of the well and you were smoking a cigarette, it's puzzle, finished. Imagine, he's smoking. I had a cigarette in his hand. The Mishnah says if you did something else, it's puzzle. Anyways, it comes out, the Bezdin pointed so on, and they sprinkled the 37. I went in the Beis Hamikdash, and we realized that the guy who did it didn't do it right. So I went into Beis Hamikdash to Manai. I don't bring a carbon because I relied on the Memuna on the Tzibur. I say Memuna, appointed one in the Tzibur. That means someone, the Bezdin or the Tzibur appointed. But if I was mistrust, there are people who mistrust everyone. So he went, I have to be my own. There are people that have to be done shoichet and have to be done. So this guy went and he did it himself. He gathered water from the well, he put ashes, and he did it wrong. He made a mistake. And he went to the Beis Hamikdash, he needs a carbon, he needs a kapara. So the Sefta says, if I'm relying on the Memuna, so it's honest. Life, existing of life, you must trust each other. You can't live a life, the Torah cannot be lived unless we have mutual trust. I always say, we are insecure, that's why we don't trust each other, and the Narishkeit and this little Satna wouldn't trust the Babish. It's just silliness and childhood. But the truth is, we cannot live without trusting each other. Because I have to trust a Shoichet. If I want to eat meat, that means if I don't trust anyone, I have to be a Shoichet, I have to be a Sofer. How do you know the Mezuzah was done well? I'm waiting to film. Maybe the Sofer didn't know the halachas. And how do you know the ladies' mikvah is good? Maybe the guy built it didn't know what he's doing. I mean, you could drive yourself insane. The Torah was given clearly as a community, we must trust each other. So if the community did it, his question, you don't need a kapara, you call the ninus. That's a separate issue. The can't have to be kasher, but it's not called you did a sin. But if you did it and you didn't do it right, I always say this, there's a story, let me just finish the story. Moshe Feinstein, that's what they say. He was at a wedding and he ate. The Chassidish Rebbes don't eat at weddings. How do you know it's kosher? So the guy watched him eating. You eating? So Moshe said, I want to tell you something. I'm going to come to Bezdin Shamala, and they can ask me, you ate at the wedding, and it wasn't maybe kosher. I said, Rabbi Shalom, you gave me a rule. You told me, Ed Echad Nem Vesirim. I followed your rule. Ed Echad means the guy tells you it's kosher, you could trust him. I said, but if you don't trust the Torah, you have your own rules, and you fail, how are you going to explain that? There's no way that things don't fail in life. This world is not a perfect world. The kashas fail, we have shortcomings. This is the reality of life. So when we trust each other, that's the Torah has to be. That answers your question?
Well, no, because the next piece is, so what do you do in real life? Because mistakes, things do happen.
You have to kasher the kelim.
You kasher your kitchen every 6 months?
No, unless...
You don't have preventative measures.
Just assume that
No. There's halacha.
So how come we don't trust all?
There's halacha reise de loichazinen loimach zekina. You know what that means? If I don't see something is wrong, don't fix it. You know what I mean? You don't have to look. You don't have to scan your body. Maybe there's something you'll find. So long as you don't find any symptoms, just you're okay.
So how come we don't trust all the shkachas then? You know.
But we know it's not good.
Well, we know for a fact. How
If let's say you want to hire a doctor. Someone says this doctor is a shlamazel. Finished. I don't know.
Vegan and Yankee made the rapper.
That's it.
In regards to what you were saying earlier, I totally understand what you're saying about vegans that are all the things when it comes to chemicals and natural flavors. What about a restaurant? Could the halacha apply directly to a modern day restaurant? Because it's not about the packaging. You go back to, so to say, shulchan aruch time, everything's fresh in a restaurant setting. So a vegan restaurant, could we say today is permissible?
Yeah, what could he tell me? I don't know. I'm not a vegan. What do vegan people eat?
Vegan, vegetables. In addition to vegetarian, vegan means no animal products.
Right, no animal.
No eggs.
No eggs. No, that's what someone told me.
Wine could be a problem. Oils and wine. Okay.
How about not checking the vegetables?
Yeah, that's a separate issue. But he's talking going in and eating.
That's what he's asking.
Yeah, that's a separate issue. We're not talking about vegetables. We're talking about if you want to. I don't know what is tofu. What do I know?
There's a restaurant that makes very good. It's a vegan restaurant. That's why he's not.
Okay, Rabbi Sai. Okay.
The answer is no.
Still a bar sign.
Some are saying it's okay.
Okay, let's move on. Zog Mechaber Sivo for Rabbi Sai. I know. Let me just add one more thing. I once said it before here. I try to always find this out. You know, the last winter or 2 winters ago, the eggs from Iowa, was it? Someone else. The guy lost. I asked. He was the supplier for the California, south of California, the Ralphs. It was something like $50 million, $100 million, $200 million. He lost the contract because he was not careful. Finished, he's gone. His business is gone. And they trying to get him for manslaughter because someone died. So he has another case against the guy, the owner of the company. Just explaining, Avada, this fell through the cracks and the guy was not careful. But most people are careful because they don't want to lose $200 million. Understand?
I think the rabbi himself said, though, that big is different than little, because big,
Well,
they
the
have
same thing,
brands that they're worried about. Little businessmen, big temptation to...
Yeah, but that's very easy to be found out. It's very still.
Even a small...
So it's not so big mur and afshai, but it's still. You ask people in the shgucha business that I had to once go to a company. I said the story once. I'm very tall, and they couldn't find me a white coat long enough. So well, let me in. They're finished. They have the rules and nope. It says it's got to go till here and. Not because they're an Afghan with a white, green, yellow. You know, this is. You know, they're so nervous that no one should. Come and say that the factory was not clean and someone came with a beard and his beard wasn't covered. You know, they worry about their own money. it's not cautious they worry. They're just so nervous that somebody shouldn't be sued. Okay. And the OU claims that because the products that have OU, the business goes up. If the OU would take off the hechsher from there, they'll lose a lot of money too, besides that. That's money.
Well, it's not just the Jews who buy it.
Yeah. So, money, in Yiddish there's a famous saying, if a little money doesn't help, then a lot of money helps. That means when there's a money, a lot of money involved, then they, money is, they're not going to cheap because of okay, so you got to be careful. And check the sheikha and beer. You have to check the beer. And the times of the mechaber, they used to put beer. Sometimes they would put beer. Shmarim, how you say shmarim in English? The dregs. They would put dregs over there, which was a starter for the beer. So you got to make sure. The mechaber is saying his times this achshav.
In Europe, some European beers, they do this now. I don't know how much they do, but they put wine in the beer.
They use a beer,
Hybrid?
a wine starter.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. Then it's a problem. Then it's a problem. It's a wine. The Chabad says you got to check that out. You shouldn't have a wine starter. That's exactly.
Right, yeah, but.
Well, here,
It says it in there? That would
you have to.
European tradition.
Listen to the words of the Machaba. You got to check out if the people put wine into the beer. Once you checked it out, they don't do it, then it's not a problem.
How do you check out if Heineken is
No, it's flavored beer, not flavored beer.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
flavored beer? Yes.
See, one thing about these companies, they will be honest and tell you they put in wine. They don't, that's one great thing about it. They're not going to say no.
Smaller
And
companies now, like the microbrewers, you have to ask each individual one.
right, but I'm just saying that's but all the doesn't say you need Ashgocha Tamidi. Just find out. It says if they're doing it. Machaba says in his place they used to do it, and if you know certain your place, they're on L.A. or the beer in I don't know the Miller's beer, whatever they sell, and all these beers, they don't do it. They don't do it. You don't have to have Ashgocha Tamidi. Just got to find out. Zuk der Machab, zuk der Mum Darkel useboy shmun useliknes mehem yenal al arbeit im ein bemashke shishim min hashmurim. And let's have 60. So back to the old machlokes. So the Machab shit, the Ramu shit is need 60 against wine, and the Taz says you need 6. He says who the shishim min hashmurim he dore videl tamei, but it's not made to give it a taste. The tamei Philip Elif is something that's given in to give it a good taste, even if 10,000 doesn't put
So go back to the sherry casks. That
Yeah.
was given to give a taste.
Well, it doesn't. Of course, they give it put of a taste, but it has to be a. When they put wine in, what do you think they put the wine in for? But it doesn't mean that. It means it's a noticeable taste, not just a stam. That means there are certain things that the sugar gets more than 60 a taste. Certain things, times when you put wine, it gives a very powerful taste. That's what but that's only according to the Ramah. According to the Taz, Shishu, even though it gives a taste.
Even though it gives a taste?
Yeah, of course it gives a taste. If you mix, it's based on the Gemara.
1 and 6, it gives a taste.
Avada gives a taste. But the Chafa Beken, it's not enough taste to Asaba wine. That's an old machlokes, the Machaber, the Remu, and the Taz. And then other Achronim, if you, many Achronim are Mekel. That I'll look that up, the article that you told me about. Okay. I want to just say, Agav the Chorinim ask you a question. You know what a Duvra Mamed means? We're going to learn later that cheese is also, giving us Akum, because the way to make cheese, you put in a rennet. And the rennet is taken out of a stomach lining of an animal. And since the cheese becomes only because the rennet is put into it, so it's called, even though it's 1 out of 10,000, and you don't feel the taste of the rennet, it just changes the substance of the cheese. It's called dover hamamid. Mamid means that's made it into cheese. Even though you don't feel the taste, it's also. So many Achronim want to know, isn't the Mechaber talking about, why do you need shishim, taste? I don't know how to do it, but it seems like when they put this wine into the beer, the wine was a starter made the beer ferment. It was the thing that fermented. Why is that not called a dover amamet?
The answer would be because it would ferment anyway.
Well, there's two treats. Some say that, some hold that it's not called a dover amamet, and the reason has to be noticeable dover amamet. You see cheese, you don't see what you see here. If you have to taste it, you have to see it. Others don't know, and that's why in Pesach are very, very machmer. They used to make cheese with beer. I don't know how. They used to make cheese, they would use a beer for a starter, or yash, yain, and Shulchan Aruch says not to use it. So even though there's some will not do it, we're machmer, the other poskim they said that is called a ma, meaning to say that beer and wine into beer, if it makes it, is a problem. And the only reason, like what the rabbis just said, some hold that it would anyway become, it just makes it quicker. Not that it just the wine.
Isn't the whole point of the sherry that people want that different flavor? So that's
Yeah,
what
that's
makes
okay.
it-
That's okay.
They can get in flavor two different things.
Yeah, that could be. That doesn't make a difference. It could be. So what? It's a give a flavor. No. That's a separate issue. The taste, the shit that holds you need, 6 becomes bottle. 1 part to 6 give it taste. If you put a 6 parts of water, it's 5 parts of water, and 1 part of wine, grape juice, it'll give it a taste. But still, it becomes bottle. I mean, next week, there's an article the Rabbi sent me. I'll go through that.
Chewing gum without an extra. Usually because there's gelatin in the chewing portion, not the flavored part. What categories that fall under?
I was told that the flavor could be not kosher. That's what I was told. I have no idea. I was told the flavor, but if the chewing, if you don't swallow, is glycerin and all these things is tasteless.
No, it's
So-
all flavoring.
But I was told the flavoring is a
Flavoring
problem.
is kosher, the only problem is the gum base.
The gum base.
Chew on. And there is a heter out there.
Yeah, but I was told that not always that's true. It's sometimes the the flavor itself could be not kosher.
Maybe have a mind where it's not like a hamster from above.
Okay, Shemen. You chew gum? No. Oh. You look very disappointed. Okay.
I heard like you can link with Rabbi Abadi.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. So not into ashgachas. I say Burach Alekeni Shivdunim in ashgachas. That means
But the question is, if you know that the flavor is okay, but you know that the gum base that you're chewing on, if you're not swallowing, is not okay.
Yeah, then it doesn't. To me, doesn't. It should be okay. I don't know why it should not be okay.
Even if you swallow it, it's not an issue because it goes back to the whole vitamin thing. It's not really food. You're not supposed to swallow.
That is not true.
You're not supposed to
The taste of gum is you swallow.
You're not supposed to swallow.
What do you know? The taste.
No. He's saying that if the taste part of the gum is kosher.
Then the other part
and
is
the
okay.
base is not.
Then
So
it's
he said
okay.
Even if you do swallow the base.
Yeah, that's not food.
You're really not eating food.
Yeah, that's
You're
not
supposed
food.
to- You're not supposed to swallow it.
No. No, that's not true. That is not true what you just said. I am not allowed to be mevatel, but if a guy makes a product, even though in Hashishim, I'm like allowed to buy. Yes, but I am allowed to buy a product that has treif if it's less than 60. Like a tchila. We learned it a few times. We're going to have it again.
Why would you buy a product that's less than 160?
We had last week, they used to line the barrels with this, the honey, what was it, and a certain thing, and pig. Imagine, fat of a pig was, the cracks of the barrel was sealed with fat pig's fat. And it's no Islam gam, it says, but the point was that there's some chazer inside, but it's less than, one of the reasons is the shishim, it's less than the 60th. Even if it's more, it's no Islam of gam, it gives it an off taste. Chazer in wine, whatever it was, gives it an off taste. So beer was it, I forgot. Anything that gives an off taste, like a tchila, I'm allowed to buy it.
So Chatchila, the hechshers would give a hechsher on something like
Today, the mashgir, the machshedim will not give because they're going to be shot at. That's why. But doesn't mean that it's, if they would get, I will later tell you, when I was growing up, and I remember they made some tumult that they're giving us something that's nice in time of gam. And then when I started learning the halacha, I says, what's wrong? What was the tumult all about? It just there's. Let me tell you interessant halacha. The Darke Moshe and Hilchas Gittin says a very interesting zach. When you write a get, we never give out the get. You know that? We hide the get. We give for the lady the patur for the husband. Why do we hide the get? So it says the Darke Moshe. If he's a Talmud Chacham who knows Hilchas Gittin, he looks at the get, he knows. If he's not a Talmud Chacham, not. But you know what we worried? A guy who knows a little. He's the biggest troublemaker. He's going to look at the get, and if this is a gimel, and this guy says he's a big Talmud Chacham, he even gives a shiur, and he said it's not a kosher get. And if you don't, we always, in English there's a saying, a little knowledge is dangerous. If someone said,
Dangerous enough, stupid enough to be dangerous.
Too something dangerous. So with a little knowledge, it's a guy who's little knowledge who can get you, either you know it or you don't. And that's what, the same thing with the Hashgacha businesses. I have people coming, can you imagine the noisim town of Gam to give Hashgacha? He says, we're going to learn later, maybe not tonight, next week, that if a guy is machmer not to eat noisim of Gam, he's a zuken mamra. You know what a zuken mamra means? He's that's an expression used that you kill him. Guy who argues on the Sanhedrin. Sanhedrin said that you're allowed to eat something that has noisim tam of Gam. That means if it has an off taste. And if you want to be machmer, you're not allowed to be machmer. But it's always the troublemakers most often who know a little. That's the problem. I'm sure your profession's also that way. It's the ones who don't know. Okay, the honey and the oil from a goy. Oh, here, this is the Machaber. Einen Shiurim, the boy say, Shalakim. Oil and honey is not a problem with Bishalakim. Not because of the Kalim. So Rabbi said, that means I'm allowed to go to the shiksa next door. Listen to this. I want you to hear this. Are you allowed to go to the shiksa next door who's heating up oil and buy the oil? Why? Because the oil is the shiksa warmed up the oil. It's noisim tam of gam. Now it means we have a right to assume that the keli that she heated the oil was clean, and it was 24 hours. Stam kelim eini b'yom, mean to say when you take out a pot, we have a right to assume you didn't use it 24 hours, so the oil was heated in it, and memela it's noisam. So you're allowed to buy oil from a goy. You don't have to buy olive oil with an OU. That's what it says over here, or an OK. Or with like I joke with the people, Tauber in the Satman Mikveh. You could buy, that's what it says of it, because what are you worried about? Maybe he hid it in the Goyish Kalim. Stam Kalim is any B'nei. That's what it says over here. And really, let me tell you the history of this halacha. We're talking about Shemen here, no? So the Chazal original acid oil, and then they changed their mind. And I don't want to go into the machlokes why they changed, but the bottom line they said like this: what could be the problem of oil? Bishul akim, oil is no bishul akim because you could eat it raw. Oil, olive oil could be eaten. You don't have to cook it. It's just better if you cook it. What the problem is, maybe the guy cooked in his kelim, stam kelim. That means so maybe his keli the whole week they're in chaza, and the guy just produced oil in his kelim. We have a right to assume that his keli is Ein Ben Yoimai. So the Rishalma relates a story that Rav and Shmuel, I forgot which one, want to be machmer. So Rav tells Shmuel, or the other way around, if you're going to be machmer, you're a zoken mamre. You're a big choiter. You're a sinner. Because if the Chazal said it's okay, you are not allowed to be machmer. So that's why you have to, if a guy says, I don't want to be soimer, chalois town of Gam, it's called a sinner. Because Chazal said it's okay.
Just so I get this straight, is this still the rule now?
Yeah, for sure. The Rambam says it very clearly. The Rambam, he doesn't bring it down, the skin.
You assume that they haven't used it in 24 hours?
Because that's the reality. See, companies, we can't say that anymore, but a private person, you go at home, you see most of the pots you cooked, your supper tonight was not used 24 hours. Most often it's not 20.
Is it the same? Why are we not concerned that there might be other things in the oil? Is it the same near us?
No, it's just people don't mix anything though. It doesn't taste good.
So being that if there's
Olive oil, if this, you buy olive oil.
made a different product on it that was
So today companies you can't say the kelim is not a ben yoima because it's 24 hours, 24/7 they use the kelim. So whole today's a new world. I mean, literally, I asked
The yam is just for,
the keli.
but it's only for if they're, let's say they cook a treif thing and then for 24 hours they're cooking anything else.
They didn't use for anything. If they did use anything, it's not an avela. We're going to know the whole machlikas.
Companies are not even yam, but then we.
Company we can't assume is any miyoma because there's 24/7 to cook them. That need, yeah, but usually, or company make oil, only make oil. That's generally speaking. I asked the people, and they put in oil, put in okay just to make sure. But I asked the ones who give hashgacha, they tell me, Western Oil or these huge companies, all they do is oil.
All oils?
What?
All types of oils?
All types. They
All
usually
vegetable and
not a vegetable. Vegetable oil means it's a mishach, so who knows what. But olive oil and the corn oil
I've
is.
always heard that extra virgin olive oil can be purchased without action.
Yeah, no,
I
Yeah,
don't know
but-
what the difference between extra virgin, regular virgin, or whatever, but.
But anyways, I just wanted. This is the source of the halacha that you are not allowed to be machmer. You know, there are people who think, and I'm not talking about Pesach. Pesach, we always says, we try to find the chum. But generally speaking, if it's okay, it's okay. There's no reason to be machmer.
So what's the problem with vegetable oil?
That's a separate issue. Vegetable oil means any oil.
It's a blend.
It's a blend of any oils.
But so what? It's all oils.
No, it's not oil. The vegetable oil does mean vegetables. The translation vegetable means oil. Of any oil that's not olive oil and not, you can mix in, chazer oil, anything that you want.
So in other words, we literally buy any type of oil of one kind of oil, corn oil or what's the I was gonna say peanut oil, peanut oil. That is one thing.
Yeah, usually it's okay.
Peanut oil by itself is okay.
Usually, anybody has a hechsher, all these oils have a hechsher just by the way. Which peanut oil?
Find peanut oil at Ralph's. 4 different oils that don't have hechshers.
Usually, if they don't have a hechsher, I get nervous. Why didn't they get a hechsher? It's the same company. You notice the other oils have a hechsher. Obviously, the oil, there's a reason.
I called Rabbi Schussman, he said it needs a hechsher.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Yeah. I don't hear what?
This is the head to drink coffee at any gas station, because mine common.
Yeah, my chamin is okay. That's true.
There's no
There's no we spoke about. There's no question of bishalakim.
Last week that you can't drink it there if it's made according to your side.
If you're what?
Can't drink.
No, the opposite. If you're smart, you can't drink.
There's other problems. Sfardi has a problem of coffee. Some Sfardim, not all Sfardim. You're Sfardi? Some Sfardim hold. I'm not sure which Sfardim hold that coffee is a problem, but I don't think it's accepted. Coffee is a problem. I don't want to go into. We spoke about it already. Let's move on. Okay.
What does it say here? What's that say?
Just brings later Elchonon, if anything. Okay, let's move on to Boisai. A kafrisim, Boisai Sif Ches. You know what kafrisim is? Capers. The kaflitois is a type of vegetable. A chaguvim is grasshoppers, which the Yemenites.
Capers, and what's the second thing?
I don't know. Kaflitas is either watercress. I remember one time I saw in the English article translate watercress, something, a vegetable. But chaguvim shalem hakvushim, if they pickle it, is miturim. Visharoyish metzinois ma'oitzer. You saw them taken out of the oitzer because what the problem of these 3 items at times of the Gemara was, they used to pickle it, and when they sell it in the store, they would sprinkle wine onto it to make it look tastier and fresher. But they would not put wine into it when it was stored, because when you put wine when it's stored, it gets ruined, spoiled. So the mechaber that if you take between he shroish moitzes moitzer, am nekunim b'chanus with a sira shem azila flaim yain, because to make it tastier, they would sprinkle wine. Say mechaber is talking about things that was we knew that was done, you sell these three things from, it means other things they sell, you have no problem. But these items were sold and they knew they would sprinkle wine onto it. Chezeisu shalahem, hakvushib, which is pickled biturim, velarakim harbe, even though very, very soft, achi gerusa nishmetes, that means olives, which are very soft, because they don't. They should not cut it with their knives. Let me explain this. You know, there's a concept of a duva charef. I'm sure you all know this. If you cut with a fleshig knife an onion, the onion becomes fleshig. So if you cut with a trefa knife olives, which is pickled, it's called charef. So the olive, we can have a problem of kashrus. Now the truth is, I explained it once before, people were asking me here, can you buy cut vegetables in Ralph's? Remember the way I asked me?
Fish and Costco.
Fish and Costco we spoke. The reason you could buy it, because in Hilchas Busa B'Cholov, the Mechaber says, let's say the goy cut with his knife, and the Mechaber is talking about you cutting lemons and herring. Herring is also charef, the good old days herring. Herring was soaked in, our herring is not so charef. The reason you could, because he's cutting so much that, you only see a knife that has blia of chazer could only come out 60 times. How much, let's say the guy cut 500 pounds of herring, right? But however dribble out of the knife became bottle already. You understand? So maybe the first 10 herrings are no good, but he cut another 500 pieces of herring, so that 10 pieces became bottle. And you're allowed to buy it like a tchilla. You hear this? You don't say, but wait, the guy used his own knife and he cut the herring, I shouldn't be able to. It doesn't make a difference. Right now it's bottle. Since it's bottle, like a tchilla, I'm allowed to buy it. Chab is talking about, I just saw him cut it with his knife. So if you go into Ralph's and you want to buy cut vegetables, they have the pre-cut vegetables, no problem. I spoke to a person, I don't remember who it was, who sold me his business at Pesach. He was the one who was doing the vegetables for the Ralph's. Because, Ralph's learned, and he explained to me that they don't want to hire workers because then they have to pay the workers medical insurance and who knows what. So to give it out, it's cheaper for them. So he gets his Mexicans, you know what I mean, and pays them, what you pay in the corners, and you don't have to be chochem to cut vegetables. So it's cheaper. That's what he told me. So, but he said, we use special knives anyways, he explained to me.
It's literally enough shit. They're not cutting pork and then...
Yeah, it's just vegetables. No, he told me fruit, to cut quickly fruit, you need a different knife. It's a different knife, because today we figured out what works the fastest. If you use a butcher knife to cut fruit, you're in trouble.
Different knives for different...
Right. But even it wouldn't be that way. If you use a strafe and a knife, it's not a problem.
For his sandwich,
Yeah, it doesn't make a difference. But he cuts so much vegetables, it's not a problem.
maybe you're buying that vegetable.
It doesn't make a difference. You're allowed to look at tchila buy it. So it becomes bottle. When something becomes bottle, you're allowed to look at tchila buy it. If one piece of meat got mixed in 2 pieces of meat, it becomes bottle. You're allowed to buy it.
And you don't have to cut off the tips of the cut vegetables already. You can eat it just like that.
Is there no problem of the pesticides that they put on the vegetables?
Pesticides? It's not. No. But are you talking about kashrus? No, it's not a problem with kashrus.
Rabbi, what about the guys who sell at the corner the pineapples and the mango? Cut up like a
The Mexicans again, who sell their personalized...
They're definitely not using it for meat, because you see them all day chopping it.
when they go home,
I know, they cut, I never pay attention. They cut, it's cut fruit, I thought it was...
They cut right there in front of you. They'll cut up samples.
They cut the
They have a bunch of fruit. They cut it up and put it in a bag.
Yeah, you don't buy from the take a shop.
Well, it's also okay, because the fruit that they cut is not a duva charef, so the most is the first few fruit is a problem, because it could have been
That's what I'm saying.
that becomes bottle b'roiv.
Orange is not hard.
No, orange is not charef, is maybe lemons. Orange is not charef, and mangoes is not charef. What did they say? Mangoes.
But all these Mexicans have lime. Sharp. So the leaves are sharper, so lime. Okay, but hold on, when they're cutting the lime.
They cut lime or they sell the bags with lime.
Rabbi, but
Let's make it.
it's a cold knife anyways, it's only fruit.
So I'm saying that even if the knife was dirty, so the first few fruit is a problem, the rest is okay. But he's saying they cut lime. Lime is sharp. I don't know if lime is sharp.
Lime and lemons and pineapple, they're all sharp.
Pineapple's not sharp.
There's no limes.
No limes or lemons.
Yeah.
Watermelon is oranges.
There's no lime. Now the Mexicans,
Yeah.
they pour lime all over it and they pour the hot sauce.
You can't put this.
Not talking about no. He's not talking about that. He's talking about no. He's talking about the street corners. In my neighborhood, also, you don't have it here. The guy stands in the street corner. Okay.
Cut me a piece, and I said, listen, I tried to explain the kosher, he couldn't understand. I said, what do you use that knife for? He's like, I only use it for fruit. But I said, for fruit like nothing else? I mean, I use it to cut up my lunch, my sandwiches, whatever.
He's not Naaman.
Sorry?
He's not Naaman.
Right, I understand. Well, I'm just...
And you don't have to trust him.
Wait, I don't have to trust any
I don't trust him. I think that's all the...
I don't have to trust any...
A goy, and listen to me. A goy, listen, calm down, Nuchem. A goy's worth is worthless. If he tells you today's Tuesday, you don't trust him. He said it, cut it, so what? His dibber has no halacha whatsoever. Even if it's only if it's Messiah Levitim, you start asking him, it's not sure it's Messiah. We'll get to it, Mir Hashem. We'll get to it.
Bottom line, if they cut up samples at the farmer's market, you can taste the pear.
You could taste the pear, no problem.
They're not cutting up hundreds. That's not what I'm saying.
Then it's not.
It's not a charef, and he cut already 3, so it got washed away, even if it was not clean.
You wait, if they're just starting, you wait till the third.
So you're saying that even nowadays, the same exact situation, and you have a guy who happens to be a Jew, but he's less a Jew than the Mexican boy. You can trust him?
Don't trust him. Guy who doesn't have a religion, you also can't trust him.
Oh, okay. So we're talking
A Jew has no religion, has a din of a goy. His word is worthless. If you don't have a das, I say, a religion, so his word is not a word. It's not because he's a non-Jew. It's the problem is that a person is not religious. Why would he say the truth? Well, he just lies. There's no reason. That should not.
When you say
That's a different thing.
Haley's not ben yomer, does that apply to knife also?
Yeah, a knife is also not ben yomer. But a knife, but any ben yomer only needs for heat. For charef, even though it's not a ben yomer, we say that the charef makes any ben yomer good taste. So if you cut with a tray for knife a lemon, let's say at home, if your wife cuts the onions with a fleshig knife, even though you know for sure it wasn't used 24 hours, the onion becomes fleshig because the power of charef, means sharp, could turn a distasteful thing into tasteful. Doesn't mean there's no time, there's no limit. So if you cut an onion with the fleshig knife, even though you know for sure that it was half-y and not touched, the knife doesn't make a difference. That's something else. Why that help? That is only if you by mistake cut with a fleshig knife something a charef which you fleshig, then you put a knife. That's a whole. I don't know.
Aside of the taste, you have the fan itself. You have the shuman itself gets stuck in the knife.
Wow.
Well,
our knives, most people are very clean today. The Shach does say that nowadays, I don't believe you'll find in an average home the knives are dirty. Only in the shul, but not at home.
So by fish, we rely, if I can see that it's tuna, I don't have to worry that he cut shrimp a minute ago.
Right. Well.
Even if he did, it's not.
See, if you go into the fish market, and everyone brings his fish to cut up, and he just cut a what's the name, a non-kosher fish. See, when he cuts, someone told me you go downtown, he buys fish downtown. He says you go to a place, all they do is cutting salmon. He buys salmon there. That's where there are places. It says the guy standing, he'll cut you any fish you bring to him. That's a problem. If he does do that, if you all you have to do is take a brush and brush it very off the place where he cut it, because the fish.
No, the knife.
Well, you have to. Fish is very hard. The fish knife is very fatty. You have to really wash it off well.
But that's exactly what they do at the Ralph's supermarket. You go to Ralph's, even if you can see that it's a tuna, you can see the skin. The lady before you just got catfish. The person before her
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're talking about in a place where they're cutting only salmon. If you go into Ralph's and he's cutting the fish, you can't trust that it was clean. Then, if you always wash your fish at home, then you could buy it, but you must make sure you wash the fish well off. Right. But the best. But if all they're selling is salmon, the most in my neighborhood is the John Market. Where's he left? There's a John Market, whatever. John's. So the John Market, every time, once in a while, they sell incredible cheap salmon. And the high school, Chabad High School, always buys Rabbi Taylor. And he asked me once, he told me, you go into the store, and all they're doing is today, for the next day, it's a leader. They want people to come into the store. They always have every few months. So you're allowed to buy fish. All they do is cutting salmon there for you.
When does the Sakina become a factor?
The Lichkeder Sakina has only, the Lichkeder Sakina is only by Charif and Hat. We're talking about you're cutting a fish with a knife that was cut, a non-kosher fish. So if you wash off the fish very well, it's not a problem. Best thing is Shiurim says you should use a scrub. But if the anyways are cutting 500 pounds of fish, or let's say I got the fruit, you're worried that maybe the knife was a non-kosher knife, but he cut it like you said in the corner of the Mexican. The guy in the Mexican in the corner was cutting away, so anything residue that was on the knife got washed off already 100 times.
This applies to any food, obviously. If you can see that they're only processing one kind of food, no ingredients are kosher.
Right, there's no problem.
Some people say that if you go to like a bar, it's not kosher, and you order a Coke, or a Diet Coke, usually in the Diet Coke they put like a lemon. So I've heard a lot of people say that you should make sure that you don't eat the lemon or ask them not to put the lemon because of the problem that the lemon might be trade from the knife that's cutting a double car. So
What else? What else?
Is that the bar?
The people I didn't learn last week's class, exactly, or being late.
So 1 second, so what do we do with that? Is there a problem with that?
I don't know. What do they sell in a bar? I don't know what they sell in a bar.
If they're not going to cut it, if you bought lemons in line.
Why do they also cut in the bar? It's full restaurant.
And the bar makes the drink.
Some bars sell food, so
He says that.
bars that sell food, all they have is knife. You never know which the knife was.
Would a concept of bottle apply to,
No,
say that lemon is trade.
Yeah, but he says in these bars, there's a restaurant in the back. Let's say, and you go down in the hotels. There's a restaurant there.
Yeah.
I don't know which knife they used.
Right.
That's a problem.
So let's say it is a trade.
So then the lemon is a duva charif, and it got the taste of chazer in it. Can't use that lemon.
Okay, and then if that lemon is sitting in your Diet Coke, but even if you pull it out, it's definitely above the shishim, I think, the amount of lemon that would have gone into it.
Yeah, it's about the b'shishim, and it's not hot. It takes time to dissolve, so you just take it out and drink the thing. Yeah. I wish, I get nervous when I say it cool over here. You shouldn't, stretch the envelope over here.
That's why we have to go with almost genius.
I told a Chassidish Bacha today that it's much easier to put on a Lubavitcher hat with a gartel and a jacket than put a smile on the face. Chassidim demand you should wear a smile. Certain things we could be machme. I tell people you can machme every chomer in the book for Pesach. But certain things is allowed to walk around happy, which is a chiyuv for everyone, and Chassidim especially. That's much more difficult. Okay. Let me just finish the Ramazuk. The ma'achas and charif and balam and asakin, aber nicht b'shibikelim shevi gechovim. If they kuvish means, I say kuvish, pickled. Beturen the ma'achas shesh ma'im imuim kon es bati charfusim chen kiyotziv zeh. But they talked about, there's different types of pickling. If you pickle it with water, it takes away the charifis. The pickling, the choinim say, where it's very, very sharp. Then, all depends. The Rambam is talking about when most of it is water and a little other pearl. But if the pickling is very sharp, it could have liquid in it, then it's a whole different story. That's a relative thing, how sharp the pickling is. It's very hard to do. So.
It's mostly water.
It's mostly water, because there's certain... Okay, stop over there.
I know you spoke about this months ago. Is there a problem with being a prosecutor prosecuting a Jew? Well, I do misdemeanors, many DUIs. I don't have the Jew. There's no Jewish defendant, but